We're going to start tonight with Maryland Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin. He is the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman, you heard me summarize what has been a very busy day in the region. Your reaction?
Well, it's a nightmare, obviously, that one of our planes was shot down, and we can only pray and hope for the missing servicemen. But, this underscores the importance of our working with whatever other countries are willing to help to try to put an end to this quickly. It's a lot easier to get into these wars in the Middle East than it is to get out of them. And that underscores the fundamental importance of following our Constitution, which requires Congress to declare war. It is not up to the president or the vice president or Tulsi Gabbard or anybody else in the executive branch. It's up to the representatives of the people, and we skipped over that step. The framers were intent that both the House and the Senate be involved to try to consider all of the many implications of war for the country. And so I certainly hope that we can find a way out of this. The president has declared the war over numerous times and has said it was a success and so on. And yet the death count continues to go up every day.
The president said in his primetime address earlier this week, Congressman, I know you know this, but I want to remind the audience that the skies above Iran were effectively in possession of the United States and Israel. The downing of an F-15 is no small matter. That suggests otherwise.
Well, right. That would seem to be proof that there's not complete domination of the skies. In any event, dominating the air does not translate into regime change, and it does not translate into control on the ground. And any military historian or strategist, will explain that. It's not a complicated idea. You essentially can't bomb your way to victory. And I think that's why the president has been talking about sending over troops, but there's just not the support in the country for it. Congress never voted for this. We never went through a process of discussing what the reasons for the war are. And President Trump never identified the rationale for the war or the purpose and objectives of the war. And so there's just great uncertainty in terms of what exactly is happening and when and how the U.S. can get out.
The president today sent to Congress a budget request, $1.5 trillion for the Defense Department, a massive increase. How do you believe congressional Democrats and even congressional Republicans will respond?
Well, that's staggering. And, given what's taking place with the war in Iran, which again is unauthorized and undeclared, it raises a whole host of questions as to what the president's plans are. So I think that we're going to need to return to constitutional government, both in terms of congressional exercise of the war powers and in terms of congressional control over the purse. But a $1.5 trillion budget busting defense request is going to raise eyebrows all across Capitol Hill on both sides of the aisle and in both chambers.
What do you believe is the short-term future of the Justice Department, Congressman Raskin, now that Pam Bondi, the former Attorney General, has been fired?
Well, Bondi leaves the department in a state of complete wreckage. Thousands of DOJ employees were fired or quit because of the reign of lawlessness and corruption that she inaugurated there. Many of the very best prosecutors were ousted because they had worked on the January 6th case, which is the largest criminal case in American history. Whoever comes in should go back and rehire those people. They were fired for no other reason that they worked on a case that they were assigned to. That's hundreds and hundreds of lawyers. And at the very least, the senator should be asking whether that would be on the agenda there. And at the same time, the Attorney General Bondi was involved centrally in a complete cover-up and blockade of information that was supposed to be released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. that federal enactment requires the Department of Justice to turn over the entire file except for the redaction of victims' names. They failed to redact the victims' names, but they redacted a lot of names of conspirators and enablers and accomplices to the different crimes and withheld 3 million out of 6 million documents. So that's just an appalling performance. They say that Donald Trump is firing her because of the Epstein files, but what he means is that she let too much go and did not succeed in completely vanquishing this as an issue. Now, that's not her fault. The public wants to see the release, the complete disclosure of the Epstein files, and people want the truth to come out. So I think Trump would like to make her a fall guy in some sense, but nobody could have done a better job, and nobody will do a better job until they actually release the Epstein files and let the whole truth come out to the public.
Related to that, Congressman Raskin, the House Oversight Committee, as you well know, has subpoenaed Pam Bondi to appear April 14th. There may be some effort by the White House to say, well, she's no longer Attorney General, she's got nothing important to say, and have her evade that subpoena. Do you believe Congress can enforce that subpoena regardless of her position in the private sector after leaving the Justice Department?
Well, there's no doubt that Congress can enforce that subpoena. The question is whether James Comer, in his inimitable wisdom, will want to. It looked like they were already trying to wiggle out of that subpoena appearance under oath when they brought her in for a roundtable discussion with 3-minute questions from the members of the Oversight Committee. And the only question that my colleagues on Oversight wanted to ask was, are you planning to come still to your subpoenaed deposition under oath before the committee? And she refused to answer directly in her way, simply saying that she would follow the law. So it looked like they were trying to find a way out. Even while she was still Attorney General, and I think her not being Attorney General, they will definitely try not to send her there. But ironically, she may be in less of a position to resist being a private citizen. Now she clearly has the time to do it, and she's going to have to worry about violating a subpoena of the House Oversight Committee and Congress. The question is whether Comer will stand by it. Nancy Mace, who is the author of the subpoena motion, has said she's standing by it, and we'll see if she can get enough other Republicans on oversight to stand by it and on the House floor. So that, I think the wheel is still very much in spin in terms of what's going to happen there with that April 14th appearance.
The wheel very much in spin. That is not just a metaphor for that particular story, but for many stories in Washington this day. The ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, Jamie Raskin, starting us off tonight. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.